Canada's youth facing some issues. The unemployment, get a load of this. The youth unemployment rate sits at 14.2%, double the national average. And Canada has another problem. We've got a big shortfall when it comes to recruitment for the Canadian Armed Forces. Well, maybe we could solve both of those problems at the same time. Let's head over to Tasha Kheiriddin, writes for the National Post and her Substack, amongst other places. She's on the line. Tasha, thanks for joining us on this Remembrance Day.
Yeah, thank you, Elias. Happy Remembrance Day.
And one of your yeah, absolutely. And we just finished our coverage here on CJD of all the ceremonies happening in downtown Montreal and other places. Mm-hmm. Now, one of the things in your recent piece in the National Post, you talk about convincing our kids to enlist in the military, all under the guise of strengthening Canada's armed forces. Tell me about the solutions you're seeking here.
Well, it's a win-win, actually, because, like you said, we are short in the armed forces, and we're short for what we already had committed to. Now we've committed to 5% of GDP to NATO, right, to meet our international commitments and strengthen our defenses, and that implies more people. The government is committing $81 billion over the next few years to the budget, $9 million next year alone. And a lot of that's going to infrastructure, but it's also putting about $2 billion into people, hiring more people, increasing rates of pay, giving bonuses for years served, and these kinds of things to incite more Canadians to consider the armed forces as a career. And the emphasis here is career. You know, young people today, many of them have trained for careers that aren't going to be there anymore, right? AI is upending the job market, and a lot of young people are feeling very adrift. They don't know what to do. They probably haven't considered careers in the forces, in part because, you know what, there's been an issue also with pay. There's been an issue with housing on bases. There's been a lot of issues, sexual harassment, stuff that makes the news and makes you go, oh, that's not for me. The reality, though, is very different. I personally know one of my friends, 2 of her daughters now have signed up to study and be in the military. And the advantages, the education, the career pathways, there's a lot of use of AI and IT and stuff in the military. It's not just, you know, being in a trench with a gun. That's the sort of thing it's not that at all. There are tons of different careers. And so I say, you know, young people should be made aware of these options and encouraged, actually, in many cases, to take them up because they can dovetail with a very fulfilling career for them in a field they already may want to go into, but in applying it to the military. So it's like I said, it's a win-win.
Now, you use terms like encourage, made aware. I wonder how far the nudging should go. It's not lost to me. At the start of this show this morning, one of the things we discussed on our panel that we start our show with, a recent piece in Maclean's by Michel Maisonneuve, retired lieutenant general, served Canada for 45 years, and he made the argument we should have some sort of mandatory service, not necessarily military. Military should be a part of that, but we can include civil service and healthcare service and that kind of thing. So is it just encouraged, Tasha, or do we need to do more than that?
Well, I've written about that too. I agree with him 100%. I think it would be a really healthy thing to do. You know, to create awareness. You're right. It's you know, it's job fairs and other things and ways of communicating to young people, but living the experience is very different. And what the daughter of my friend told me when I interviewed her for my piece, she said, you know what? She goes, the biggest thing here is like she feels purpose. She feels a sense of community and purpose, 2 things that are very lacking for young people today who are online a lot of the time, feel disconnected, don't know what their purpose is. And she said that's one of the things that she feels in the Army, belonging to a group and being part of something bigger than myself. And she also mentioned adventure and opportunities. You can only really fully grasp that if you live the experience. So I think, yes, some kind of national service corps, including a military option for young people, would be 100% a great thing to do.
Is it fair to, let me ask you, do you buy into the notion that, you know, this new generation, the TikTok generation, doesn't have it in them?
No, it's not that. I think that I think they can have it, and not everyone does, and not everyone's cut out for work in the forces. And this is the thing, is though it's not an option. It's not a one size fits all option. You could be in the reserves, right? I have lots of friends who are in the reserves, and honestly, if I were in better shape and not so old, I would have joined. I would join because I think it is a wonderful thing. I've done some drills with them, not very well, but because I work with a military charity and, gone in the field and seen what they do. And the camaraderie is incredible. Just folks who get together every, one weekend every month for these exercises, who stand by as additional support and are also deployed to deal with things like natural disasters and stuff. They're deployed overseas for sure, but there's a lot of use and need for Canadians here on home soil. So I think that those options also, people aren't aware of them. Young people aren't aware of them. It's something that if they did have a National Service Corps, it would be something that they might consider doing.
Yeah, and the benefits, I'm getting some text messages from listeners about the benefits of just being in the reserves. I don't think people are aware. Maybe we need to do more segments on this. Maybe speak to the military about it.
I honestly do think so. And, you get paid, but it's also, like I said, it is a sense of belonging and community. And that's what's incredible. I'm going this afternoon to an event with our military charity where we're with the unit that we support. And it's become a community as well. It's not just, work you do or volunteering you do. It's a community, and you see how people feel. And the sense of supporting our nation, too. I mean, that's crucial right now. So I think it's something to be encouraged.
Tasha, perhaps you can find a place in the supplementary reserves. Another story we talked about earlier, that they want 300,000 people in supplementary reserves. Maybe you can make that cut.
I would love to. I'll look into that. But like I said, right now I support through my volunteer work. I support our men and women in uniform. But that is one thing I do, and I support it by encouraging others. And it's. But yeah, I think all of us should find a way to engage in some way with supporting our men and women in uniform, because they do us such a great service.
Tasha, you're always great. Thanks so much for coming on this morning.
Thank you. Bye.
Tasha's piece in the National Post from the last week, all about convincing our kids to enlist in the military.
I'm Dylan Playfair.
And I'm Tyler Smith.
We're putting loneliness in the penalty box by talking to some of our favorite athletes about the importance of friendship.
This is Bromance.
Bromance is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, proudly Canadian-owned and operated. Charm has been part of your love stories and bromances for over 50 years. And you can find Bromance on the iHeartRadio network or wherever you get your podcasts.